Hello everybody, it's Space Commander Swordlow.
And Janet Diane Moya Swordlow.
Are you a Space Commander?
Am I? If you're the commander, do you?
No, you're not.
Am I above you? Or
you're one of my subjects.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is it you're subjecting me to?
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Yes, what are you subjecting me to?
This is a new addendum for the Expansions News Podcast for the month of August 2018.
Yeah, and I'm going back to the programming, True Reality of Sexuality and 13 Cubed. We are discussing this on my blog this month on sexual deprogramming, a lot of fascinating information. And I'm going to talk to you to start off with about a lot of fascinating information. So, twinning programming. Twinning programming is huge in the news right now. In fact, on the main podcast, you were speaking about twins, as I recall.
I was.
You were. Something about Edom and whatever.
Oh, Esau and Jacob.
Yep. So listen to the main one if you haven't listened to this. So, twinning programming. Melania and Ivanka Trump twin in floral dresses. They stepped out in blooming fashions, for last night's dinner with President Trump and business leaders. And then when you scroll down the page, Melania and Ivanka twin at business dinner. So I told you this is a big thing. This twinning, which in our September class you're going to be talking about the twins of Jesus, right?
Well,
and other things.
Right.
Okay. Then we have former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks, who went with President Trump to New Jersey to a campaign rally in Ohio, and when she got off the plane, people could not tell that it was not Melania.
Why? They don't look anything alike.
Because she was in a sleeveless white midi dress and large cat-eye sunglasses with the same hairstyle as Melania. She donned sky-high top heels, a Birkin bag, both favorites of the First Lady. And then in case you missed it and you didn't notice it, it's tweeted all over the place. Wow, I never realized how much Hope Hicks looked just like Melania until now. I keep seeing this picture on people's timelines. I thought it was Melania until I saw someone say it was Hope Hicks. So again, twinning. And then, now this was an interesting story. Identical twin sisters marry identical twin brothers.
That was a little creepy.
In Twinsburg, Ohio, at the Twins Day Festival where they met, and they called their ceremony twice upon a time.
Not too much programming there.
No, and not only that, they picked the specific date because it abbreviates to 2-2. Okay, and not only that, see if it says it where it says here, they're also going to live together in the same house.
Okay.
And they're going to raise all their children together. Now,
that's going to really end up well.
And they call people who are not twins singletons, which means you're a non-twin. So you and I are a singleton.
How do you know I don't have a twin?
According to this, you're a singleton. And then moving on to Anna
I have clones, you know.
Well, that's to me what this is imprinting people with, is cloning. Okay? Twinning, cloning, multiples. You know, you're not just, remember, the nuclear family they're destroying. Now you're going to live in a group. So Anna Paquin, who's an actress, says a super hostile TSA agent at the here's Atlanta again.
Something's going on in Atlanta.
Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport was super hostile in front of her, get this, 5-year-old twins. And guess what the twins' names are? Remember when I did this?
Rumpelstiltskin.
One is Charlie, and the other one I just did the mini podcast on Poppy programming.
Is Poppy and Charlie?
And, yep. One of her twins is Poppy. Okay, so we've got Poppy, we've got twinning. And then there was in Alaska, a father and son were charged with killing a mother bear and her newborn twins.
Oh, why'd they do that?
Because they wanted to put twinning in the news, and they got into a lot of trouble. So don't do those kind of things. But
no, don't kill the baby bears.
Who knows, maybe it's just a made-up, I'm not sure. And then not only do we have people and bears / animals, we have cars that can be twins.
How can a car be a twin?
2 nearly new 1987 Buick Grand National twins were found in the garage after 30 years with consecutive VINs, vehicle identification numbers. So the Buick are twins, and they're now called the twins.
Twin cars.
Twin cars, okay? So twinning, watch, it's big in the news. Now this is also changing reality, changing history, instilling low self-worth, this next story, teaching you about limited, finite, fear, and changing you from thinking about who you are inside to what's your outer quality. So listen to this. having these 3 facial features will get you ahead at work.
Uh-oh.
Because, of course, people are afraid. They don't have jobs, and they're afraid they're not going to make money.
Well, I can't wait to find out what that is.
This says the job market is brutal, but it doesn't have to be that way, because even once you get the job, you have to worry about keeping it. So you have to have the right look.
Which
so
is?
a study conducted by realself.com, which is a cosmetic surgery website, surprise, surprise, says that these things will help you keep your job.
What?
1, smooth skin without wrinkles. So people who had voluma were seen as trustworthy, competitive.
People who had what?
Voluma, it's a product apparently. It's a hyaluronic acid that, injectable facial filler.
I don't need to do that.
It temporarily fills out the wrinkles. So women who had this voluma treatment were seen as trustworthy.
It's only for women.
Or people. Trustworthy, competitive, creative, friendly, and motivated.
And
so
bitchy.
So if you have wrinkles, you're not seen as this. This is what they're telling you. And if your nose isn't proportionate, you need nose surgery, rhinoplasty.
To my nose, all right?
Because subjects with nose jobs were seen as more competitive and motivated. And then you also need a strong chin. You can do a chin implant.
Well, you can't see my chin.
And with people who have chin implants were perceived as motivated and trustworthy.
So you have like a chin out to here.
So in other words, if you have a natural looking change in appearance, how can you have a natural looking change?
Okay, so in other words, like a plastic face.
Right. That can help you in the workplace.
Then you're okay.
Yeah. So remember that. And I always
Perfect.
told people about the uglies and pretties. This is this uglies and pretties coming
Uglies, pretties. Uglies, pretties.
coming to fruition. And guess what else you need to get ahead in the workplace?
Hopefully a beard and a mustache.
No, a tattoo. If
Got
you
me.
have
I
a
got a few.
tattoo, this study was based on a survey of more than 2,000 people across the U.S. because now they're saying that makes you more employable because people are seeing it as natural, common beauty art.
Well, that's probably why you hired me.
Now, I will tell you, which I have talked about this many times, but just briefly, that studies are showing that tattoo ink can end up in your lymph nodes.
Uh-oh.
So they're wanting you to do things that are basically they want to kill you and make you sick.
So then you should have your lymph nodes removed.
That's what they want. So then they can experiment on them. So apparently, this just goes into a little detail. So I'm going to tell you about in the article that when you get your skin punctured for a tattoo, you have hundreds of needle pricks, and each prick deposits ink into the dermis, which is the layer of skin below the epidermis.
Listen, I deal with pricks all day long.
The dermis houses blood vessels and nerves, and therefore the ink migrates through the system into the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system and lymph nodes help you fight disease, like cancer, it says. And it's vital to the immune system, and it also carries lymph fluid directly to the heart. So you can send your tattoo ink to your heart.
Ooh, a tattooed heart.
And then it says that what they've done is they have done analyses on cadavers with tattoos that have shown enlarged and pigmented lymph nodes.
Really?
Now, what's in the ink, I've told you about this before as well, that black tattoos are commonly made of iron oxide, that's metal, and carbon.
Well, I don't have, mine aren't black.
Colored ink contains nickel, chromium, manganese, or cobalt, which means that these metals can also wind up in your lymph nodes. And then there's titanium dioxide, which was the worst thing, which could be widespread. And also, oftentimes, you cannot go through MRIs depending on how many tattoos you have.
I don't ever want to take one of those.
Well, no, but unfortunately, God forbid someone does, that MRI machine could be very valuable. So think about these things. Well, you all could explode, including the machine. And research found on mice found that the tattoo ink travels through the blood system to the liver. And so based on that, in humans, it says it could also reach the organs via the lymphatic system.
What if you had a detox of your body?
You've got all these little tiny slivers of iron in your body. So they're trying to do this to you to help ruin your health and mind control you when they send you the ELF
Well, people
pulses.
have had tattoos for thousands of years.
For a variety of reasons in a variety of ways, not in this way that they're doing it today.
Okay.
Okay? So be mindful of putting these kind of things in your body, and also when if you go for a job interview, it depends on the mind pattern if you get the job or not.
A tattoo on your neck so
Not
they can
how
see
you
it.
look. So anyway, like I said, you could focus on what's inside of you and not how you. I mean, your appearance, of course, is important. You don't want to disregard that, but the most important thing is how you are inside.
What if you just tattoo your makeup on something?
Now, the other thing that I've been telling you about for a lot of years, and we are discussing, I want to remind you,
What?
in my sexual deprogramming class, and it's actually how I found out finding this in some of my research, so don't have this book, you need that one in 13 Cubed, is about the word vagina. Now,
Potty mouth.
Your attitude like that is why
I have an attitude.
you have an
Me?
attitude, because the word vagina doesn't mean
Said it
bad,
again.
it doesn't mean dirty, and so on and so forth. So that's why there is now an education for women's body parts.
There is.
There is. But the issue is that they're going the opposite direction. Words that you weren't supposed to say now, they're bringing it up in incorrect ways. So, for example, I'm going to use one of the Kardashians, Khloe. She wants you to stop asking questions about her vagina because people were asking her if
Why?
she gave birth naturally, and so she said, my vagina, it's past, it's present, it's future, it's none of your business, and then period, which is, of course, about menstruation. So vagina now is...
Well, I have to agree with her there. It's nobody's business. But
No, but the point is that a lot of women don't know about their own genitalia because if it's...
don't?
No, they do not.
Maybe we should do a seminar on that.
Well, I'm writing about that in my blog, so if you want to read about it, you can do that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is in my research, because this is an excellent article, and I'm going to be writing about this more in my blog. But there's an OBGYN gynecologist who's been in business for a long time who commented about an article that Teen Vogue wrote, aimed, of course, at teenagers, called The Problematic Summer Vagina.
There's a summer vagina?
Well, no, there's not. But Teen Vogue makes you want to think there's such a thing.
Interesting.
So that's what this gynecologist says. She says the title alone is an issue because it says, one, everything in the genital tract is the vagina is wrong, and two, that summer vagina is a thing.
But what is it?
What's what?
A summer vagina.
That's what I'm going to tell you.
Well, get to the point.
She said that summer vagina is not a thing. That is the point. And she goes through this article by Teen Vogue, Summer Vagina. She says it doesn't mean a thing. It promotes hypervigilance, and it makes you think there's something wrong when there's nothing wrong. And there are also OBGYNs quoted in this article, which she says basically they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, that's curious because last week I read a whole article about the truth that there is such a thing as a summer penis.
Oh, I wish you would have told me that.
I'd rather just show you.
Yeah, well, I think you better tell me that. I'm going to have to look that one up because this is a thing, again, to make you think there's something
But they said
wrong.
it was true.
Well, so there are some OBGYNs that are saying it's true. That doesn't make it true. And that's what we're teaching you to do, is to find out what's true and what's not. And you have to see what's being implanted in your mind, especially in impressionable young women, that is totally false. Okay, so... the OBGYN says, while you might think there's little difference in the TLC, this isn't what the OBGYN says. This is what the Teen Vogue article says. While you might think there's little difference in the TLC
Meaning the
vagina gets during the other seasons, OBGYNs note that in the summer it's especially important to pay attention to any symptoms, changes, and funkiness you notice south of the border.
Well, should we pay attention to that any time of the year?
Her point is, the one that I'm agreeing with, that this OBGYN, she says women, especially teens, don't need the idea planted that vaginas are temperamental or funky and that during the summer things can go horribly wrong. Vaginal neglect is not a thing. Vaginas function quite well in all seasons. I run a clinic for vulval vaginal disorders and we are no busier when it is hot. The only possible issue that women might have during the summer months is hair removal, because that can lead to ingrown hairs, injuries, and also an increased risk of sexually transmitted infections. Okay? Then Teen Vogue says, quote, the heat of the summer can make your vagina drier, causing it to be sensitive and temperamental. Add to that a moist bathing suit and your vag, and I don't like... nicknames, as you know, your vag just might have a vaginal panic attack.
So does that make them vegetarians?
Maybe. So, this OBGYN that I agree with says a vagina cannot dry out because of the heat. She said it can be dry due to a result of low estrogen, a medication side effect, and even from a yeast infection. However, the ambient temperature and a wet bathing suit have zero impact on the vaginal ecosystem.
There's an ecosystem
The
in there?
only way you could temporarily dry out your vagina from heat would be aiming a hairdryer inside, and don't do that.
I bet that some of them do.
That just says don't do it. The vagina maintains a steady temperature because it's inside your body, and human body temperature only rises when someone is suffering from a heat stroke, which is outside temperature. And a wet bathing suit cannot change your vaginal pH. Okay, if the vagina is normally moist and warm, if being moist and warm causes infections, it would be a serious design flaw.
Well,
She said this is the kind of damaging information that leads women to think that normal discharge is excessive, and this is the kind of information that this gynecologist undoes every day in her clinic. The vaginal pH is maintained by estrogen, lactobacilli, which is the good bacteria, and glycogen, which is a storage sugar that comes from the surface cells of the vagina. And she says none of these are affected by a wet bathing suit. And doesn't Teen Vogue and the other gynecologists they're quoting know that a bathing suit doesn't go inside of the vagina?
yeah, but isn't that the same one that they promoted, designer vaginas, like surgery to make them look a certain way?
Well, I don't know. They promote a lot of things. We also talked about anal sex in Teen Vogue and a lot of things that should not be happening out there, but it is imprinting impressionable young women. And then it becomes a thing, and they talk amongst themselves and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Now, also what they do is they also promote in this article vaginal hygiene wipes. And this gynecologist that I agree with says don't put wipes in your vagina, okay? She says do not clean the inside of your vagina with a wipe. This is quite literally one of the worst things you can do. Teen Vogue, you are not helping anyone here. This also promotes the idea that a vagina needs cleaning, and it does not. Okay? So anyway, then she goes on to say what does cause...
She's kind of angry now.
I don't blame her. It makes me angry to think that this is being promoted by young impressionable teen women, young women. You know what does cause a vulvar infection? Chronic dermatitis from wipes that irritate and disrupt the skin barrier. So guess what? The gynecologists that are promoting this are basically ensuring job security.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then apparently somebody says to put bug spray on your underwear.
What?
And she says, I have run a vulvar disease clinic for 25 years.
Is such a clinic?
Yes, for people who have problems that nobody else can help them with. She says, the only bug bites I've ever seen on the vulva are from pubic lice. So don't spray your underwear with bug spray. And then you cannot get, according to Teen Vogue, it's highly unlikely that you will sunburn your vagina, but they make it seem it's possible. So if you're sunbathing nude, then apply sunscreen everywhere. Well, she's saying that you cannot sunburn your vagina. It's not just highly unlikely.
Well,
you cannot.
Of it, maybe.
You cannot. You still are not going to put sunscreen in a sensitive place like that. And then she also talks in this Teen Vogue article that what happens if you get sand trapped in your vagina. Now she says if you're like 4 or 5, maybe you bury yourself in the sand, but like most women that are like reading this article are not going to go out and bury themselves in the sand. And if you do get some sand in your vagina, all you have to do is like rinse, in a bath or a shower, and that should get it off. So anyway, she says the other thing they say in this article, she said, let me see. She says the parting information about hydration is also wrong. Drinking lots of water will not, quote, keep your vagina happy. It will just make you pee more.
Your vagina has emotional mood swings?
That's what Teen Vogue is saying. So I'm just explaining to you. And this is a very good article. It's very frank. If this is upsetting, that this is the kind of information that is being promulgated out there. She says emptying your bladder less frequently on an airplane will not cause bladder infections. So to be sure, I double-checked with a friend who is a board-certified urogynecologist, meaning bladder expert.
Is a bladder expert.
Yes. So then this woman ends it a little bit sarcastically, and she says, given how much Teen Vogue butchered summer vagina, I can hardly wait to hear how we should prep them for fall. Hopefully some pumpkin spice wipes and advice on how to extract dry leaves from the vagina will help us all keep those finicky girls in check so every woman can enjoy her best autumnal vagina ever.
Well, maybe they can also use it for Halloween candy.
Well, that's kind of what she's implying, that this is ridiculous. So This is the kind of information that's out there and people are reading and they think it's true.
Yes, but summer penises are true.
I'm going to read that article. And the other thing, do not do vaginal steaming either. That is also a thing. Yes, there's lots of things, and it disrupts what's going on naturally with your body.
Well, like there's this whole vagina thing going on.
There is, and the thing is they're trying to make it out there into something it's not, and they're going to give people, a lot of women, a lot of problems. But you know what? If you have a lot of problems and you can't conceive, what's this going to do? That's going to lead us more to the artificial womb and things like that, and artificial insemination, artificial everything. So.
And don't get vagina mixed up with Regina, which is in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's true. So, thank you for listening. Leave your comments and share.
And stop putting things in your vagina.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.